Imagine this. You've worked hard your entire life, and now you're finally ready to enjoy your golden years. But here's the kicker. You might not have enough money to last through retirement. Shocking, right? But it's a reality for many. Let's dive into the details and see where you might be at risk. A staggering 40% of baby boomers are worried that their retirement savings won't last as long as they do. And unfortunately, several recent studies back up their fears. According to a new study by Seniorly, an online marketplace for assisted living, seniors in 41 states are expected to face a shortfall between their expenses and income during retirement. This puts them at significant risk of outliving their savings. On average, this gap amounts to a whopping $115,000 over the course of their retirement years. But here's where it gets controversial. In California, this gap is even more alarming. With retirees facing a $337,000 shortfall, California isn't alone in this predicament. New York, Hawaii, and Alaska also top the list for the highest retirement gaps, where income is likely to fall short of expenses. It's no surprise, given the high cost of living in these states. But here's the part most people miss. Even states with a lower cost of living don't necessarily offer a better financial situation for seniors. Take Mississippi, for example. It's the second cheapest state to live in, but it ranks 12th for the retirement gap. Seniors there need an extra $162,000 in savings to cover their expenses, almost $50,000 more than the national average. West Virginia and Alabama are in a similar boat, with low costs of living, but savings that fall short. Now, let's talk about the states where retirees might actually have money left over when they pass away. These states have a financial surplus. Washington State leads the pack with a surplus of $146,000. But here's a thought-provoking question. Does a surplus necessarily mean a better quality of life in retirement? Let's explore. The big picture is clear. Many people aren't saving enough for retirement. The study looked at projected spending during retirement and expected income from Social Security, savings, and investments. On average, Americans are likely to live 18.2 years past 65. To cover their needs and wants in that time, they've saved about $762,000, but expenses are projected to be $877,000, leaving a $115,000 gap across all states and the District of Columbia. Seniorly pulled data from various government sources, including the Centers for Disease Control, U.S. Census, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the Social Security Administration. They analyzed life expectancy, income, net worth, and cost of living metrics by state. And this is the part most people miss. California's high medical and housing costs are a significant drain on retirement income. Another factor to consider is longevity. States with higher life expectancy are more likely to see their savings depleted. For instance, in Hawaii, seniors can expect to live another 20.6 years past 65. Despite having the highest income of $1.32 million, Hawaii is the second most likely state to outlive savings due to a combination of longevity and high expenses. On the other hand, states like Mississippi, West Virginia, Alabama, and Louisiana, with the country's lowest life expectancy, still have retirement gaps higher than average. Now, let's talk about the states where retirees are expected to have a financial cushion. Washington, Utah, Montana, Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota, Maryland, Kansas, and South Carolina are the lucky ones. But here's a controversial interpretation. Does a surplus mean these states are necessarily better places to retire? Let's discuss. In Hawaii and New York, residents are projected to have higher than average retirement incomes, but higher than average expenses or longer lifespans due to factors like diet and access to health care may mean those nest eggs won't last long enough. In Georgia and South Carolina, incomes in retirement are less than half those in retirees in Washington and Hawaii. but people in these southern states are expected to enjoy a savings surplus. Albeit a very small one for South Carolina. This cushion could be due to lower costs and lower expenses, but also lower lifespans, meaning people there may have fewer years to work through their savings. Yet in other states such as Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and West Virginia, some of the nation's shortest lifespans and lower costs of living still leave a gap where people may outlive their savings because incomes are also lower there. New York's retirees have lower projected incomes than average, $670,000, but some of the nation's highest expenses, $1.12 million, which explains why it ranks number one. $448,000 gap between income and expenses. States where retirees are expected to enjoy a financial surplus, meaning their projected income will likely be greater than their expenses, tended to have retirees with some of the highest incomes. One more takeaway from the report. Despite its poor overall ranking, seniors in Hawaii actually have the biggest financial cushion in the country, with a projected income of $1.32 million over their retirement years. At the other end of the spectrum, seniors in Louisiana and Mississippi have the smallest nest eggs, with projected retirement incomes of just $479,000 and $488,000 respectively. West Virginia, Arkansas, and Alabama are also near the bottom, with projected incomes of $526,000 or below. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Northwestern Mutual conducts an annual survey about retirement progress and attitudes. It recently found that Americans think they will need $1.26 million to retire. With that goal in mind, it found out how confident different generations are that they will hit that target. Baby boomers were most confident, with 40% saying they do not have saved enough for retirement. Gen Z were slightly more concerned, with 51% answering they will somewhat or very likely outlive their savings. Millennials and Gen Z respondents were most worried, with 57% and 56% respectively answering they fear they'll outlive their retirement savings. But here's the kicker. More than a third, 35% of Americans say they have not taken any steps to address that potential outcome. So, what do you think? Are you worried enough about your retirement savings? Do you live in one of the states at risk? Let's discuss in the comments. Your insights and experiences could help others navigate this challenging landscape.